Hey, what's going on, everybody? It is Aaron Trevino here. We have another wonderful guest. We have Javier from Raleigh, North Carolina. How you doing, Javier?
Hey, Aaron, I'm doing great. Thank you so much for having me. It's a pleasure.
Absolutely. I know we've had this in the works for a little bit, so it's great to see you.
I appreciate you putting me on your busy schedule.
Yes, sir. Absolutely. So for those who aren't too familiar with you, Javier, would you introduce yourself, please?
Sure. My name's Javier Hinojo. I'm originally from Texas, West Texas, El Paso, Texas. I'm in Raleigh, North Carolina. I came to North Carolina. I was in the military in Fort Bragg in the late 90s, early 2000s. And I just, did a quick hour and a half drive and I stayed in North Carolina and started real estate investing about almost 7 years ago. Started with fix and flip, some wholesale, and at the peak we flipped about 50 properties a year, wholesale like 80, and then in 2019 transitioned over to multifamily, mobile home park.
Okay. Yeah, absolutely. And I'm curious as well, I guess, coming from West Texas or even Texas in general, aside from the military, taking you to North Carolina, obviously something is good there if you stuck around.
As far as West Texas.
I mean, something is good in Raleigh, so if
Oh
you
yeah.
stick around,
Oh
right?
yeah. I mean Raleigh. Yeah, for sure. I mean it's. I didn't really plan it when I moved here. I asked my wife. I said, "Hey, look, we've been in Raleigh and it's this far. It's like an inch from the map, right? From Fayetteville. Let's go there." And that was it. That was my whole research. And kind of find out it's one of the top cities to live in. Great for business, great schools, great for raising a family. I mean, great income. I mean, it's just a almost recession proof city. Even in 2008, it was pretty recession proof. It didn't get hit as hard as everywhere else in the country. It's a lot like Austin in a way. We don't keep it that weird. We wear shoes when we walk around over here. Yeah. I don't know. I haven't been to Austin in 20 years. I shouldn't say that. It's my home state. I'll be there next month, but hey, if you walk around with no shoes, I'm okay with that.
Yeah, no,
But
it's
that's what I heard, right? People coming from we had it when I was in high school. We had somebody come from somewhere in the Middle East to Texas, and they were surprised that there weren't like horses and buggies. I'm like, it's 1994, man. It's there's no horses and buggies, but in his mind, it was horses and buggies. So in my mind, I think Austin. I think you walk around barefoot downtown.
yeah, absolutely. I've met my fair share of people from, I guess, different parts of the world, especially from Europe or even Latin America, who think that, all of Texas is a huge desert, right?
Yep, yep. But it's got a little bit of everything. So
Yeah, no, I'm laughing because when you said barefoot, it reminded me last year I was walking down Barton Springs and I saw this guy right outside Terry Black's barbecue and he had no shoes on.
uh, that's cool. I mean,
Yeah.
hey, whatever floats your boat, man. I'm cool with that.
No, absolutely. And I'm curious as well about Raleigh because Raleigh is kind of
Sure.
one of those cities I hear about and I frankly don't know much about. Maybe for those of us who aren't too familiar with it, can you kind of explain, where geographically Raleigh is and, what the industry or what the economy is like?
Oh man, I should have paid more attention in geography. Okay. So we're really kind of in the like we're like 2 hours away from the beach. So from the coast, we're not really in the middle. More the middle is kind of like Greensboro, maybe kind of that way. But we're more on the eastern side. So we are kind of, I guess you would say we are the eastern part of kind of the far edge, eastern part of North Carolina. You can drive, 2.5 hours north. It gets to Washington D.C. 2-3 hours north D.C. You drive about 5-6 hours, and you hit Atlanta. So 95 is pretty much I-95 is goes through Raleigh, right outside. So it's a great location. You got people from New York who want to move to Florida, and they stop in Raleigh because it's halfway. You know, so they don't make it all the way to Florida, and I'm okay with that because a lot of those guys are my friends, and they're the loudest ones in the gym. So I like that. Actually, only the ones from Jersey. Those are the loud ones from the gym. So any Jersey guys listening to this, you probably know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, I've seen a few of them here at the gym in Austin as well. So that's funny stuff. But yeah, I'm curious as well. Maybe more so about you. How did you get into real estate? Growing up, was real estate something you had your eye on, or how did you get into the
For
industry?
sure. Yeah, I kind of knew, when I was younger, I didn't know how I was going to do it, but I know I can build some wealth with real estate. I'm not a tech guy, I'm not super smart. So I knew definitely not starting an IT company or some kind of online company, was probably not the best route for me. So I said, hey, how about let's go with real estate, which has been around forever, right? It's been in way, and there's ways to, make a lot of money doing real estate. So that's pretty much what got me into real estate. And I was fortunate enough to be in Raleigh, right? Like, in 14, 15, I mean, the market was already going up. But I was able to, buy some properties, fix them, flip them, and I was able to make some good income. It's a great market here. Just like everywhere right now, everything's insane on fire. But just overall, it's a great market to buy and hold. Maybe you might not cash flow unless you get a super good deal, but definitely for stability and appreciation, it's an awesome market. Everything here is definitely in a top end as far as price. But back to your original question, I just kind of fell into it. I had a buddy of mine invite me to one of those 3-day weekends, kind of like it was through the Rich Dad Poor Dad, one of those seminars. We paid 30, 40 grand. And then we got our training and we started flipping houses.
Yeah.
That's how I got started.
Yeah, no, that it's always, something or somebody that kind of gets you into the industry, and it's crucial to kind of have that education there to help you out.
For sure.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm curious as well, if you wouldn't mind, can you maybe explain, the first deal you did?
Yeah. We were taking like our first course. It was like a 4 to 6 weeks class. It was online. It was virtual. And just kind of like how to analyze deals, the basic about real estate. And we just started searching on the MLS. That's the only way we knew how to buy houses back then. I didn't really had any additional direct to seller training, but we just saw a house that, the seller dropped it by 20 grand. And then we just went in there and offered like 30 grand less. And we eventually negotiated. It turned out to be, decent. We bought it for like, I don't know, maybe around 230, 240. And then we sold it for 315. After all expenses, all rehab, spent like twice as much as you were supposed to. We still made money. Wasn't a lot. It was like $17,000. And then I had to split that. And I'm like, shoot, I got to do a lot of these to make money. So that's when I thought to myself, either I got to do 2 or 3 a year, keep my job. Do I need to do 20, 50? What's that number, right? Where am I going to be happy?
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm sure that maybe, after you first got your start, you kind of developed more strategies, maybe finding deals with bigger margins or just doing more deals.
Yeah, for sure. Trying to go direct to seller was a pretty good way to do it. And that's another business, right? It's pretty much a sales and marketing business. And I was able to, get some better margins for sure. Um, and still to the network, through other wholesalers or stuff that come up in the MLS. And that's pretty much how we started getting, just more deal flow. Talking to people too, right? Telling everybody that I'm in real estate, because at the end of the day, I also needed some private lenders, right? I didn't have that much money. So I had some private lenders, lend me money, and we were able to, flip some properties.
Yeah, absolutely. You brought up a great point, bringing in private lenders. Can you maybe talk about, paying something cash versus using a private lender?
Yeah. I mean, it just depends what your personality is, right? If you like to pay cash and you might have to pay cash to make to make that margin, great, right? If you're going to, if you have unlimited cash or you're only going to do, 4 flips a year, that's no problem. But if you want to scale, you have the ability, you rather do a little more volume. You can use your cash as a down payment. Your margin will be less. And it just depends, right? It's really your personality, right? If you do cash, you see what the returns on your cash is. You get bigger spreads, right? If you pay somebody, then it just depends, right? Hey, I want to do 10 a year. Maybe you can't use all your cash. You can use your cash just for deposits, down payments.
Yeah, no,
So
no, absolutely, Javier. You brought up a great point, just kind of about your personality and, kind of knowing that there's maybe not a one size fits all, and it depends on you and your strategy.
for sure, yeah, you'll eventually run out of cash. There's really no wrong or right way to do it. It's just your investor personality, right? Everybody has a investor personality.
Yeah, absolutely. It kind of seems like, at least if you're paying cash, all your money is tied up in the property until you get the proceeds from the sale.
Yeah, so you might have opportunity cost, right? Maybe there's another deal, smoking deal that comes by, and you're like, man, I would kill it on this deal, but I don't have enough cash,
Yeah.
right? So that's the only part.
Yeah, yeah, definitely.
Or at the same time, like, oh shoot, we have some surprises and our rehab is 10 grand more. Oh, I'm glad I don't have to pay my lender those 10 grand because I still made money, right? Because you use your cash. It works both ways,
Yeah, yeah, no,
and most likely it works the other way. You spend more money on rehab. So
yeah, no, definitely, and that's also great too. Especially if you work with a good lender, they're going to say, hey, we're going to want to see a 5 or 10% contingency in that budget. So if you
yep,
find out, hey, my rehab is costs are higher, you're covered there because it's in the budget.
for sure. Yep.
Yeah, absolutely. So you talked about maybe doing your first deal. You talked about maybe using cash versus private money. Are you still, I know you mentioned how you transitioned into multifamily. Are you still actively flipping and wholesaling as well?
I am not actively flipping or wholesaling. I pretty much quit that in 2019. And they started multifamily. People ask me all the time. I got a buddy of mine he does like 150 flips a year. He's like, I'm gonna quit and do multifamily. I'm like, you're making like $3 million, $5 million a year. Or I'm like, I mean, if you enjoy it, don't quit. That's nice cash. Don't do it. I didn't really enjoy it that much, and I think every once in a while, should I flip a house here or do a couple of wholesales? I could turn it on anytime I want, but I really wanted to focus. But it's whatever fits your personality. I felt like I had to really focus on what I wanted to do. So we bought 459 doors in like less than a year, and we got a closing in 2 days or 3 days for another 123 doors. So I don't even know what the math is. What are we, 570, 560, whatever that is. It's about $36 million worth of properties. Could I have done that if I was still flipping houses and wholesaling? Maybe not, right? I have no idea. If I was to go back and start over again, I probably wouldn't have quit just cold turkey because all my income pretty much stopped, right? Maybe I should have just gone slow, but hey, I'm not going to cry about it. I think you make the best of it, and I wouldn't be where I'm at if I hadn't taken those decisions.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Well said. It kind of, like you said, it's, you wouldn't be where you're at if you didn't make those decisions. And
Yep,
there's one thing for scaling up, but a lot of people don't talk about scaling down.
for sure.
Yeah, no, you brought up something interesting as well. It kind of seems like there's this big craze. People watch HGTV, they see the shows, they see the flipping homes. But for you, it almost kind of sounds like there's something about flipping and wholesaling that you don't like. Maybe what made you really want to transition into multifamily?
Really, the scalability. You know, if you get a super good deal, you can make a lot of money, right? But then you also can, if you get a bad deal, you can lose a lot of money, right? Just the amount of time and energy and effort that it takes. Look, I got friends that flip a lot of houses. They got really good systems, right? And good for them. They're killing it, and they're not too hands on the business. But most of them that I know are pretty hands on. But there's a few out there that I know that are kind of they just oversee everything. They have the good people. If you have good people in place in the right seat, doing the right thing, then you're good. The right team. So I go back and I say, hey, you know what? I know I didn't have the right team, right? That's why I decided, hey, I can't do both because if I take my finger off the flipping and wholesaling, I think it's going to fall apart. It's just going to be a money pit. So that's, thinking about it, it's one of the decisions that I made, right? Do I want to put a team together and take all this energy and time and try to maybe make my flipping business better, or just quit altogether and start multifamily? So that's just kind of where I was at.
Yeah, no, that's very well said. And I know you mentioned how you have what was that, around 459 doors, right?
Yeah, right now. Yep.
Okay, and I'm curious, was that your first multifamily deal, or how did you first get into multifamily?
Yeah. So 63 units was the first one, and all I did was whatever I could. I had a buddy of mine who had a project, in South Carolina. I said, hey, what can I do to be part of this project? Right. So, got a small piece of that, and I kind of learned the processes from the kind of what it took to get it closed and things like that. And from there, then I went on, on my own, and I partnered with that same person for a 208 unit that we bought, and then we bought a 116 unit, a 72 unit, and our partners out in Houston. And then in a couple of days, we buy a 123 unit, and then we close another one in Houston next month. So we got some decent deal flow, and I just like multifamily. Just depends. If you get a great deal, you can make a lot of money. We bought a 72 unit in North Carolina for like 1.3 million, and we got it appraised pretty much the next day, a couple of days later or weeks later, and it came in at 3.4. Right, so we had like a $2 million instant equity. How many single family houses you got to buy to get a $2 million instant equity, right? And that project will be worth close to 5, and we'll be all in maybe a little bit over $2 million. So it's just the scalability is great. You just got to find those killer deals, right?
Yeah, no, that's definitely true. And I guess kind of leading back to you talk about the scalability, maybe compared to wholesaling and flipping. If you're dealing with, multiple units, potentially hundreds of units, the game completely changes.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, it's a little bit different. I mean, just got to add a few zeros, and there's a lot of other aspects to it, right? You got to make sure you have a good network, make sure you raise enough money, and you're able to close a deal. So that's one thing that we've been able to do is we've been able to close deals. We've only lost one deal. Well, yeah, just because of COVID, right? It was back in March, April, and we were getting ready to close, and the lender just pulled out, right? So that was kind of tough. But we were able to close stuff during COVID, which is great.
Okay. Yeah, no, that's great. And I'm curious as well. You also mentioned working with a lender. Do when do you consult with your lender? Is that already after you have something in your contract, or when does your lender play into this?
Yeah, I mean, usually if you have a good broker, if you're looking at a project and you send it over an LOI, you want to send it over just to make sure that your numbers are correct. Hey, what kind of loan can we get? What kind of cap rate it's going to be? Just right before you go into contract. That way, you don't waste time, energy, and money. So you got to find a good broker. Definitely got to find a good broker.
Yeah.
Yes, you got to have good A-team players, the A-team only. A good insurance guy, good brokers. I mean, and keep them and keep them happy, keep them busy. And then once they know you close, they're a lot easier to help you out because you're not some just random person sending them 10 deals a week. They're busy. They need to make money. But if we send them 10 deals a week for them to look at, they'll look at them because they know we're going to close.
Yeah, absolutely. It's one of those things like the proof is in the pudding, right? Once you close one, they're more likely to want to work with you in the future.
Yep, and it's getting that first one done, right? That's the biggest thing. So whatever you got to do to get it done, get it done.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I'm curious, you also talk about, just getting over that hurdle, that first deal. Maybe someone has some cash that they're sitting on right now. They want to utilize it. Maybe they're flipping and wholesaling. They want to transition into multifamily. How would you suggest someone in that position, make the transition?
Yeah, so it just depends, right? If you're buying in your backyard, if you're buying across the country, what size unit you're going to buy. You're going to buy it on your own. I got a buddy of mine. He's got a lot of money and he's a pretty wealthy guy, but I tell him I'll never do a deal with you because you're like a micromanager. I think we'd not be friends anymore. He wants to be like hands-on and everything. And I said, yeah, you go do it on your own. Like I tell him, go do it on your own. But if you want to, a lot of things you can partner. You don't have to do it all on your own. You can partner with folks that can help you sign a loan or help you fund a deal or whatever it is. It just depends what you want to accomplish. You want to buy a 10 unit? You want to buy a 200 unit? Most people, can buy a 10 unit, or not most people, but on average, one person can go out and buy a 10 unit that's $500,000, right? I mean, you need $100,000 down around there. And if you got 100K, you can buy one. So it's not, you got 100K, you'll buy one. It's not a big deal. But if you're trying to buy a, 120 unit, you might need $1 million and a half down, right? Maybe you don't have $1.5 million. So you got to partner up. So.
Yeah, absolutely. And,
it's deal by deal basis for sure.
Yeah, definitely, Javier. You brought up a great point. Maybe getting those 18 people, partnering up, having, building a good team. Maybe if you're starting at square one, how do you suggest someone gets in touch with these A-team level players and
just network? Network, right? Ask people, go on Facebook, right? I'll plug in my Facebook group. It's a $1 billion multifamily and commercial real estate, right? I love to partner with people. Somebody doesn't like me, there'll be folks in there they can partner with, right? Maybe somebody closer to their town, maybe somebody they have something in common, right? You got to trust, and like and trust the person you're gonna be dealing with. So there's a lot of places to do it, right? Just make sure you vet them well, right? Make sure you vet them well. Somebody recommended them to you, or them, or something. Don't just find a random person.
Yeah, that
Yep.
definitely makes a lot of sense in really anything you're doing, right?
Yep.
In your homework.
Yeah, for sure. So that's one of the reasons why I created the Facebook group so people can collaborate, connect. I also have a local meetup here in Raleigh, and get some people connecting and buying some units together. Right? I mean, shoot, I wish I can buy everything with everybody, but I know that's not going to happen. But if I get some kind of deal with somebody, that's awesome. That works out. I'd be more than happy. To jump on a project with somebody.
Yeah, no, that definitely makes a lot of sense. And I'm curious about, where you're looking. I know you're obviously in the Raleigh market. Are you also looking other places in North Carolina or across the country, or what do you
Yeah, I
focus?
mean, pretty much is a landlord friendly state. It's got to be landlord friendly. It's got to be a good project, right? It's got to be a good purchase price. Definitely has to be a good purchase price. So I'll pretty much look at everything everywhere right now. I'm getting started. It's a little harder, having being spread out so much. But at some point, I'll consolidate to like just a region. But for now, you got to get that experience and those units and that those full cycles going. So, we do have some criteria. We got to have like, a property management company that we know, we like, we trust. Got to have some boots in the ground. We got to get a, great purchase price, just, things like that, just to make the deal safer. And then we'll buy, in a market. Heck, if I've never bought in, Kentucky, but if I found another deal like I found here in North Carolina, 1.3, 72 units that's worth 3.4, you better believe it. I'm going to buy it. I'll buy that thing in a heartbeat.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I'm curious as well, kind of about that deal that you talked about that you bought for, that ended up being 3.4 after the appraisal came back. What really gives apartment complexes their value, or what are you looking to do to add value to the project?
Yeah, that one we didn't buy. We didn't add any value. We just got such a good deal, right? We just got it, like 40 cents on a dollar from day one, right? So, but at the end of the day, it's like a business. You got to lower the expenses and raise the income. That's basically it. So you lower the expenses and you raise the income, and then your valuation is whatever the market is. So it's actually not that hard, but make the property pretty.
Yeah.
Get good tenants in there and get a good purchase price, get a good management company, and the income goes up, expenses go down. That's why you rehab it, so you have predictable maintenance. And it's a business. It's a business that has a real estate attached to it.
Yeah, no, that's very
Yep.
well said. It's a business with real estate attached to it. It's a great way to look at it.
Yep.
Yeah, absolutely, Javier. Well, is there anything you haven't said that you'd really just like to, hit home?
Well, just a lot of people out there, some people are getting started in real estate. Don't be intimidated. I'm a high school push out. I was C+ student. Um, you know, uh, halfway in my real estate career, I had 32 cents in my bank account. I've been through the ups and downs, right? You just gotta be persistent. Just be persistent. You guys, you can do it. Take some action. Just take action. Network and network and network, and connect with people. Right? Listen to podcasts like this. Get educated. But at some point, you got to take a shot. Right? Don't just be an education junkie. Go ahead and take a shot. Like I say, feel free to go to our Facebook group. Follow me on social media. Um, you know, I'm writing a book. I don't know the title yet, but I'm writing a book, and also podcast coming out here pretty soon. So I'm pretty excited about that.
Yeah, wonderful. Definitely, that's awesome, Javier. And maybe someone's listening. Maybe they're in Raleigh, they're in North Carolina, or maybe they have that next deal for you in Kentucky. I know you mentioned finding you on social media. What's the name of your Facebook group again?
It's a $1 billion multifamily and commercial real estate. Or my name, you can search me on my name pretty much on YouTube or Instagram, Facebook. Just my name, Javier Hinojo. It's just me and my dad, or my dad and I. I'm a
Yes, sir.
junior. He's not. You'll see. He's a couple of years older than me. So
Fair enough.
heck, friend my dad. It's okay.
Friend, both you guys.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay. Yeah. Well, it's been a pleasure speaking with you. We've talked about, Raleigh, talked about your market, about the city, a bit about, kind of your journey from flipping and wholesaling into the multifamily space. So it's been a pleasure to have you on the show.
Aaron, well, thank you so much. I appreciate
Yes,
the
sir.
interview.
We'll talk to you later.